Hello everyone, can you hear me? Let me know in the comments below if the audio is working okay. I like to do a bit of a check because there have been times where I've been talking and then nothing's been going through the other side and then nobody's actually said anything. And then it's been about 5 minutes before somebody says something. Let me know in the comments if you can hear me. So yeah, I guess it's been a while since I've done a live stream. I don't even know when the last time I did a live stream was. I have a quick look on my channel, but it may almost be a month, I think, since I've done a live stream. And so the last one was a month ago, was the retro handheld live stream. And I was starting to get excited about live streams at the time. I bought an Elgato Stream Deck to make my streams a little bit easier. But at the time, I just had a lot of trouble with the kids. And so they were coming into the stream a lot. And if they didn't, they would kind of interrupt and bang on the door and that sort of thing. So it kind of got frustrating for a while there. So I couldn't be bothered with it anymore until I was able to come back to this location here where there are no kids. So it's kind of what I call the studio here. And so it's a quiet place where I can actually film some videos. I used to come here more because this was closer to the office. And so I would be able to come here and film some videos. But because of lockdown and all that sort of thing, I have to stay at home. And obviously at home, we've got kids running around everywhere. And if you lock the door, they'll bang on the door. And this is the type of thing, like with kids, if you don't have any, is like it takes time for them to get with the program, basically. So it's going to be a bit rusty here because I haven't been doing this for about a month. And even before then, it was kind of every couple of weeks. So yes, it's going to be a while. Hello, everybody. Hello, Ray was here. Hello, Claudio. Hello, Don. It's great to be back chatting to you guys. I feel like a ton of stuff has happened since then. The stream is probably not going to be as sophisticated as the last couple of times. Let me get, and while we're getting people in here, I guess I'll talk about what's happened over the past couple of days. I made a huge mistake. Actually, the initial title of this video was going to be I made a huge mistake, but then I didn't think anybody was going to click, so I figured, okay, I'm going to make it Steam Deck. Over the last couple of days, my external hard drive, and I put all of my YouTube archival stuff, or all of my old videos and everything that I work on is all on this one hard drive. And that hard drive died. It's an external hard drive. So I learned a few lessons there. Never put or never work off an external hard drive because you never know when it's going to die and then it'll be impossible to get stuff back. Two is that data recovery is very, very expensive. So for me to go and try to get all of that data back, it's probably going to cost me $500. And I'm not sure if it's going to be worth it because it's all my old videos. There's still a lot of useful information there. Like, say for example, any of my thumbnails, I can just pull off any of the PNG files that I did for my old thumbnails and then just bring it right into my new one rather than have to create new PNG files. There's all of my templates, all of my graphs, everything that I've worked on is pretty much all gone. So I did want to just talk about this a little bit just at the top of my video because I think this is kind of like a bit of a public service announcement, is that I think what happened was, and the reason why the external hard drive died was because I had one of those 4-port USB hubs. I'm sure you all know what they are. And I plugged in the external hard drive on it because it was annoying to reach to the back of the PC every time. So I bought that and I figured, okay, now I can plug a couple of hard drives in, and I didn't have enough I didn't have enough USB ports at the back anyway. So that's why I got it. And then I plugged in my iPhone to charge And I think that's where it killed the hard drive, because after that, the hard drive stopped working. So I'm pretty sure that's what happened there. It made that mechanical clicky noise, and then it would take a long time to read it. It would say that it had bad sectors or whatever. And then I also used some programs to try and revive the hard drive. And it would be okay for like the first couple of hours. I was able to like click on a folder, and then it would take a long time for it to read, and then it would freeze. And then after about half a day of that, it just wouldn't read the hard drive anymore. So pretty sure that it's dead. Pretty sure I can't get my stuff back. And so, yeah, it's almost like I have to start collecting stuff again for the YouTube channel. I don't think it's going to affect productivity too much of new videos, but there will be some things like all of the templates, for example, I might have to make again. So yeah. So the last few days, I haven't made any videos. I haven't even thought about making videos. Usually, you know, if I take a long time between videos, it's because I'm testing something or whatever. But I haven't even touched any videos or thinking about making any videos yet, because just kind of like lamenting the fact that my about a year's worth of YouTube stuff is down the toilet. And if you think about it, it probably takes about a minute. It takes an hour for every minute that I produce, roughly speaking, on average. So I've produced 250 videos. It's probably about 2,500 hours that I can't go back to. But you know, the funny thing is, like, I never go back and check all the old stuff anyways. It's kind of like when you save TV shows, for example. I never go back and watch the TV show, so why do I even bother keeping it? But sometimes there's a bit of sentimental value there. Okay, so that's going to be enough of that. I just wanted to let you guys know, if you want to use like a 4-port USB hub, don't put your external hard drive in there, and don't charge your phone, because I think, well, anecdotal advice, of course, I think that's probably what broke my external hard drive. Ray was here. I hope you have success rebuilding from the ruined wreckage of your hard drive. Well, that obviously pushes me to make new stuff, so we'll try and make the new stuff better. At least in terms of templates and things like that. Okay, so with that out of the way, I don't know how long I rambled for, probably like 10 minutes already. Let's talk about the things that I was going to talk about here. We've got 14 people in here, which is awesome. It's so good to see all of you guys. So if you want to say hi in the chat, say hi. We're going to talk about a new mystery handheld first up. And there have been rumors that there are big players in the market coming up with a handheld, except we really didn't know who it was going to be, because they hadn't announced any of their handhelds yet. Well, we might have one that might be coming soon. So I want to talk about a handheld that's going to be coming up. This was going to be a separate video that I was going to make, except these days I don't really want to do any videos too early. Like, I don't want to bring out a video that's going to be of something that's like a year away. But I think I'm okay to talk about in a live stream, because it's more casual that way. And so you'll notice that I don't talk about as much the RTX 40 stuff, or the next generation of graphics cards, because a lot of the time it goes backwards and forwards between information that people haven't locked down yet, as in like information that is for certain. So what happens if I make videos like that is that it ends up being a lot of videos where I'm talking about maybe the specs of the graphics card, and then they're going to be different to the specs like a couple of months down the track, because I've changed, or people have changed their rumors. And so you end up getting with a lot of various videos on your channel, and then when people search for it, they may see the video that has a lot of views and click on that, but it's actually an old video. So I'd rather like not do as much of that if I can. We may do it sometimes, depending on if it's really important and if the information is fairly solid. But I don't want to do too many things that are too far away, if you know what I mean. Hello, yours truly, AG. I know this is probably really late for everybody in the US, so try and move through things as quick as I can. I think I'm broadcasting to the middle of the Pacific Ocean at this point, but that's okay. You can all watch it on a replay anyways. And we'll keep it short. Like, I want to try and get like an hour, maybe an hour and a half at the most. I know my streams sometimes go for like more than that, but I've got 4 stories, so I think we can do it today. Okay, so the next story we're going to do is Asus and Noctua, and there's a couple of things I wanted to say about that. So they're going to put, I think this might be the first time that a cooler company or a fan company, they're going to do graphics cards. So I think that's pretty exciting news. Windows 11 is going to launch early, so we're going to have a look at that article. I haven't personally looked at any Windows 11 stuff, so I'm going into it pretty cold. And also this stream I kind of just put together in a rush today, so I haven't read any of these articles. I'm going through it at the same time as you guys are going it. This is just going to be a very casual live stream because I wasn't expecting to do a live stream. And then another story we have is Elden Ring. I don't know if you guys are excited about that. I probably won't play it right on day one, but I am curious to see how it is, because I used to be a big fan of the Dark Souls series and those type of games, but obviously I'm the type of player who doesn't, if they don't finish the first one, they don't play the second one. So I didn't play Dark Souls 2 or 3. But I play other games, so I played like Nioh and Bloodborne, a little bit of Bloodborne. I finished Demon Souls and I finished Nioh. But I'm interested, or I'm at least curious to see how Elden Ring looks like, because we really haven't seen too much of Elden Ring yet. But there's a little bit of news on that, so we'll go through that. Finally, we're going to talk about Steam Deck benchmarks. I left this till the end because I just figured there'll be people coming in. I wasn't sure how many people were going to come in. We've got a lot of people now, which is awesome. I'm so sorry, Websum7, that it's 1:10 a.m. on the East Coast. I know that's what happens if I do it late. I just slept in today, so that's why it's 1 p.m. my time here, and normally I'd rather do it at like 9 a.m. 9 p.m., which is 9 a.m. your time. Yeah, 9 p.m. Pacific's not too bad, I guess. So I know my US time's a little bit because I watch basketball or the NBA. Okay, let's get right into it. Let's get into the browser here, and I've only got the articles up on the browser. So the mystery handheld is from Lenovo, and there are some photos of it here because they actually posted this onto their website. They were going to announce it for, I think it was called the World Mobile Congress. So that happened back in June or July in Barcelona, and they didn't end up going through with their announcement. So, but somebody found these leaked photos and leaked description of the handheld. I don't know if it's just a rumor at this stage. So it's going to be called the Lenovo Legion Play, and you can see it here. That's what it looks like, and it's a 7-inch device. So it's going to be roughly the same size as the Steam Deck. I don't have a good comparison photo of it here, but it's going to be roughly similar to a Steam Deck. Maybe the Steam Deck is a little bit longer in size. So that's what it looks like here. And the rumor I first found out about it was from Scott and Logan in Discord. So if you're watching, Scott and Logan, if you're watching this, hello. I've stolen your rumor. But I just wanted to tell other people that there is another handheld coming. And it seems like there are big players in coming to this handheld market. And they're not afraid of Steam Deck. And sure, you know, there's going to be huge Steam Deck fans that are very, and honestly, like seriously guys, the Steam Deck fans, like I know you love the Steam Deck and all that, but it almost seems like there is this ideological war that probably doesn't need to be fought really on my videos anyway, because anytime I post like an A and Neo video, there'll be dislikes. I don't know why, but it's usually along the lines of, why would anyone want to buy a Neo for like $1,200? Well, I think there are people that's, you know, for example, Steam Deck is not actually out in a lot of markets. It's just out in the US, Canada, Europe, and UK this year. And a lot of people are actually going to be getting it later on, like Q1 or Q2. So the Neo is actually available now. So for a lot of people, they know they can't get it for at least 9 months to a year. So, you know, I know people think about it in a way that, oh, if I buy a device, I'm keeping it. But a lot of people also buy a device, play it for a year, and then maybe sell it off. And then you've used $1,000 to buy it, but you might get like $800 back, for example. And then you'll have put good use into the Steam Deck, the Neo, and you kind of didn't waste the time. I think we've moved into the world where time is just as important as money. I mean, it's always been like that, but because with so many things coming out, with stuff coming out every single year, is it really worth it to like say, I'm going to wait for the Steam Deck, I'm just going to sit here and wait while there are other things that you could possibly use? I think for some people, they're like, okay, well, I can do that with the AA Neo. I can put $1,000 into it because I put $2,000 in my PC, for example. Not me personally, but like, you know, other people thinking about that. So $1,000, yes, it's a lot of money compared to the Steam Deck, but I think some people are okay with that. And the other thing is there's lots of rich people in the world where they're happy to buy it. You got to remember, like, A and Neo, they're probably thinking about selling less than 10,000 units, whereas Steam Deck is thinking about selling like 1 million units. And so they're kind of catering for a different market, or there's enough people out there who's willing to drop $1,000 on this thing, so they're going to make it. But I tend to like ramble on quite a lot when I start articles, so let's keep going with this Lenovo Legion Play. When I do chapters, I might actually just make the chapter here. So anyways, Lenovo Legion Play. So this is a 7-inch handheld, and as you can see, very I guess standard type of layout, although I will say, like, they have the asymmetrical analog sticks. So normally I find that with asymmetrical analog sticks, it's kind of more for more recent games, because you have the left analog stick and you can use that with the right face buttons, right? So a lot of more recent games, especially action games, third-person games, have that kind of setup. And you're less likely to go to the D-pad, which is the secondary one. So the one lower is usually the secondary control. So for retro games, for example, where you have a D-pad and face buttons most of the time, then it feels a little bit different, because then you're using the D-pad and your face buttons, and it's kind of a little bit asymmetric, a little bit on an angle. So normally I think that it feels better if they're symmetrical. So if it's a retro device, then I feel like the D-pad is better if it's up the top, and if it's for more recent games, then the analog is better at the top. But personally speaking, I actually don't mind if the analog is on the bottom, kind of like a PlayStation controller, because I found that with the analog stick, it's easier to move the thumb around, even though you're kind of reaching for it a little bit. Don Draper says, wouldn't mind a Lenovo Intel handheld. Lenovo makes quality electronics. So yeah, this is really interesting, because I think they're making a play for like the in between the $100 or $200 market here. And we'll get into why I think that when I read the description of this handheld out. So I think they're going for the lower end markets to play games with, because a lot of people are asking for these controls. Because I think if you're playing with a touchscreen, for me personally, my thumbs and things get in the way of the screen. So it's better when my thumbs are off the screen or away from the screen. But in terms of an Intel handheld, so then you would have to move up in terms of the processor inside, which means your unit's going to cost more. Can they make a handheld similar to Steam Deck pricing, $399? I think they could probably make like a mid-tier handheld, which wouldn't be as powerful, which would be a problem for them, because then they would say, well, people are just going to buy the Steam Deck then if you compare the two in price. So they'll have to offer something else. Right now, Steam Deck can get to that $399 pricing because they're offsetting it with the other two handhelds. So the other one, which is $529, and the other one's $649. So theoretically, if they sell similar amounts of units for all three, well then the average price is going to be $529 or $500. So it's actually really a $500 device to them. And then, as well as that, they would be able to offset it with their Steam store. And Lenovo, they haven't got their Steam store yet, but Lenovo store yet. But maybe that's the direction they're heading, to bring down that hardware price. So they could do it if they have a store. The other thing, of course, is they really have to play big catch up to Steam in terms of number of users to their store. Okay, so that's what the handheld looks like. And try to make it a little bit bigger. Not too much to say there, besides the asymmetrical sticks. I believe this is the Xbox layout with the A on the bottom. Okay, so let me read this section here because I think it's important. This is from their description from their website, which is no longer there. It's actually in their sources. I tried to have a look around, but I couldn't really find it. So I'll just have to take their word that it's actually in the sources of their websites. So of their Lenovo Germany and Lenovo Japan website. This article comes from Lily Putin, by the way. I don't think I mentioned that at the start, but they do a lot of handhelds and small computers and that type of thing. Okay, so I'm going to read from the second paragraph here. It says, designed for AAA gaming, the Lenovo Legion Play is the first Android cloud gaming console. The console lets users play hundreds of cloud games, stream their game library, or play mobile games. It features a 7-inch 16:9 Full HD bezel-less display, HDR10 built-in controllers, dual speakers, dual vibration, and 7,000 mAh battery to provide the best gaming experience. Our developer program is open to all game developers, coming soon in select markets. Okay, so there's a ton of information just in that single paragraph alone. First of all, designed for AAA gaming, but it's not for AAA gaming because they're saying that it's the first Android cloud gaming console. So it's a funny play of words, isn't it? Like now people trying to put people in the concept of, okay, we're okay to play something from the cloud, like GeForce Now, PlayStation Now, or xCloud, for example, and just play your AAA games like that because, well, the companies believe that cloud is close enough. And I mean, for them, it's kind of like, hey, you can buy this $100 device with like a Wi-Fi chip inside and a low-end processor, and you can play AAA games. So that's their pitch, right? But for a lot of other people, for myself, for example, I like to play natively and less on cloud. So I think it's a bit of a difficult sell to some people. Other people may like it because it's a lower entry point. Okay, so the console lets users play hundreds of cloud games, stream their game library, or play mobile games. So the fact that you can play mobile games, so there will be a reasonable, I would say, mid-tier chip, perhaps something like the Odin, where it's like a Snapdragon 845, something like that. Maybe it'll be like a MediaTek chip that will let you play some mobile games, some light games, but the majority of time, it seems as though they want you to at least think about this device as a cloud gaming device to get you onto their servers, to pay, I guess, a subscription fee for their cloud games. and also you can stream your own game library if you want. So I'm thinking that this will probably stream all of your Steam stuff as well. It features a 7-inch 16:9 Full HD bezel-less display. So the Full HD 1080p, of course. So again, they're not too worried about like the resolution here because they're just going to be streaming it. Whereas like if you were playing things natively, it'd be nice to, well, they probably don't have enough juice to actually play a 1080p native game. Okay, so the other thing, of course, is like bezel-less. Well, we kind of know that it's not really bezel-less, so I don't know what they're talking about here. So maybe they're just making things, you know, really trying to fluff things up a little bit. Okay, so it's not bezel-less. HDR10 built-in controllers, dual speakers, dual vibration, 7,000 milliamp hour battery. A lot of these things seem like they've already designed this device. It's just not ready to go yet from a, I would say probably from a developer or infrastructure standpoint. They still haven't got all their eggs lined up, or ducks lined up, or eggs in the basket, all their eggs in the one basket. So that's probably why they didn't announce it. They're just not ready for this. But the device is ready. So here's what it looks like, another shot of it. So I don't think this will probably be the final thing. It may be, because it's very simple and elegant. I think it looks pretty nice. Obviously, it looks very similar to the Nintendo Switch operating system. And really, I'd be okay with that. As long as these things are folders, so a folder for games, a folder for, I don't know, whatever, like Netflix or whatever. So I think it looks fine as it is, the OS. Now there's a couple of other shots, which means that they're almost ready to go with this device, because it says here on the bottom of the Legion Play, there's a USB-C port, headset jack, and built-in microphone that you can presumably use for voice chat, even when you don't have a headset. There does not appear to be a camera, so you can't do streaming. So you have a couple of ports there. That's what the device looks like at the back. And so if this is going to be a mid-tier device, kind of like an Odin, and the Odin is about $200, I think this is probably around that $150, $200 mark for this Lenovo Legion Play, especially if they're focused on cloud gaming, because then it's probably unlike that we're going to have a top-end chip in this thing. Okay, that's probably about it. I'll just quickly show you this thing at the bottom of the article. This was something else that they were also going to announce, but it's more like a concept thing at this stage, kind of like Homer's car, but it's this. It's a water-cooled phone. Now, I don't know how real this is. These specs are kind of out of control, because it says here, to make it an epic gaming phone, we also max out the other specs. It comes with 18 gigs of RAM and 1 terabyte of storage. 18 gigs of RAM for mobiles. I knew Androids used more RAM, but I didn't realize it used that much. And there's a lot of other photos about this as well. But you can see there's a water pack on the back of the phone. I won't read it all out. I'll leave a link later on below, but you can go to the Lilliputian website and just, or type in Lenovo Legion Play to get access to this article. But there's a few other photos here, I believe. Well, it hasn't loaded up. Okay, can we load this up? I thought there were other. Come on, yes, okay. Yeah, I don't know about this. Do you guys want to carry this in your pockets? I think, I mean, if you're a serious gamer, and I know a lot of serious gamers, they you know, you want to play Honor of Kings, Clash of Clans, maybe you need something like this. Maybe you need something like this. Let's have a look at another photo. I don't know what this bottle is. More coolant, I guess. I will say that it looks amazing. Like almost unbelievably amazing. I just don't know how. I probably wouldn't use it as an everyday phone. Maybe if you're a mobile gamer, you wouldn't be using this as your daily driver anyways. There's one more photo here. And normally I probably would do a video on this, but if it's not coming out, I'm not sure if I can be bothered. I was surprised because I didn't actually see anybody else make a video on this. I think this would get some pretty good views if I actually made this as a thumbnail. Sorry to hear your hard drive died. If it's mechanical one, it's probably the motor or controller board. You may be able to swap it out, enough to grab info out. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. All the information is probably still there, but I'm not sure if I want to pay $500 Australian dollars, so that would be about $300 or $400 US dollars to get all of my old videos. Like, it's nice that to have all of the old videos, but it's not like the only reason I would pay that would probably be just for family photos that I must have of the kids and stuff. So for my old YouTube videos, they're already all online anyways, and then the templates, I guess it's annoying, but I have to make them all again. Okay, let's quickly move on because I know I put the Steam Deck as the thumbnail. Maybe you guys are all waiting for it, and then if I'm not talking about it, then you're not going to, yeah. I don't want to make it too long or make you guys wait too long. Okay, so let's quickly talk about this. I just thought this was pretty awesome. Maybe you guys already know a little bit about this. This is interesting. This is from Asus and Noctua. Noctua is actually from Austria, for you guys don't know. But look at that. That looks absolutely amazing. And I love the box. Like, the box is seriously something that you would collect. And we've gone a long way from those 3D FX boxes with crazy, I don't know, 3D effects boxes. But I love the look of this. However, I will say that I think they put it on the wrong card. I think they should have put it on the 3090, because the 3090 and the 3080 is the one that really needs the Noctua GPU fans. But I'd be really interested to see if this has better cooling on it or not. So the title of the article is Asus and Noctua announces Asus GeForce RTX 3070 Noctua Edition graphics card. It says here, this is the world's first graphics cards to use Noctua fans and a tailored heatsink that has been co-engineered by Noctua, allowing for a reduction in noise levels of up to 15 decibels, which is a lot, but they don't say from what, so I mean, we'll have to see about that. This refined cooling setup makes the Noctua Edition the quietest card in its class, and I would believe that, and the perfect choice for customers who demand serious GPU performance without sacrificing quietness of operation. I have a Gigabyte RTX 3070 Gaming Edition, and I gotta say, like, that thing is really quiet in my case. So I don't think this is necessary, really. Like, if you got a Gigabyte Gaming 3070, it's not too bad. It does like 260 watts, and even then I will say it's still pretty quiet, even when running Cyberpunk, really demanding games. My CPU fans, on the other hand, are way louder. That my Lian Li 360 all-in-one cooler is super loud, and I kind of don't like it. It woke up my wife the other night, and she says, "What's that noise?" And I said, I've been rendering videos for like the whole year now, so this happens all the time with the Lian Li Galahad. That's what it's called. Okay, so I would say that this would be most needed on a 3080, 3090. I guess they just want to sell more fans, so there's more people who buy the 3070, so they decided to do it on the 3070. There's not too much more information on this, but I really love the look of this. I know sometimes people think that, oh, the Noctua brown fans aren't attractive or aren't nice looking, but for some reason, this tan on this graphics card is almost like an old-fashioned type of. It's kind of like when you go into like the higher end market, like you look at LV stuff and you're like, oh, look, you know, that doesn't look too bad, like that LV wallet or whatever it is. So maybe Noctua is that's a little bit like that. Everything else, yeah, it looks really cool. Now the thing was like, somebody said to me, when I broke my 3060 about a month ago, I cut the fan cable. Somebody said, hey, just put Noctua fans on it. I'm like, yeah, I really should do that. I think that's a cool project. Maybe when I get back to Australia, I might do that just as a side project, because on that 3060, the fans are actually connected, or they're molded into the fan shroud. So if you need to replace the fans, you have to replace the whole shroud. So at some point, the fan might actually break down, and I'll have to think about another solution. So it would be putting Noctua fans on would be awesome. Like that would work really well. But the 3060 doesn't really need Noctua fans. Claudio Gouveia, that Lenovo water-cooled phone should be the highlight of the live. Yeah, too bad. Like, I'm not that much of a mobile gamer, so it's like, do I want to like do more mobile phone videos? So that's why I just went with the Steam Deck, because a lot of people who have already subscribed are Steam Deck fans. Make me think of the vintage cars with the white tires. Yeah, exactly. Like this almost looks like a vintage car type of thing, where yeah, it looks a little bit old-fashioned, but there's this classiness to it, which is weird. Like it's brown and it's not supposed to. Everything else has RGB, and there's no brown RGB, right? So, but I really like the look of it. Okay, so that's probably about it. Oh, look, there's some charts here. So it says performance, noise, efficiency at low fan speeds. The Noctua Edition, lower temps, so by about 4 degrees. The standard version must be like just the regular 3070. Maybe it's the Founders Edition. Let me just read this. The GeForce RTX 3070 Noctua features semi-passive fan control setup that can switch the fans off completely whenever the GPU temperature goes below 50 degrees. I'm not totally sure if that is the Founders. It could be that the Founders Edition is running at 32 RPM. The Noctua is running at 2000 RPM and is still beating it. So I think they mean Founders. I don't know why they didn't say Founders. Noise reduction results, low fan speeds, so it's significantly better, but I wonder how much it says it is. Okay, so availability will be from mid-October, and you'll have to contact your local ASUS representative for further information on pricing. Okay, so everything else is just basically like a 3070. I think they probably should have gone with the 3080 or 3090, because that's where it's really needed, because the 3080 is like 320 watts and the 3090 is 390 watts, and it does get very hot. So that would be something where you'd want to turn the fans up. But on the 3070, you don't really need to turn the fans up very much. Like for me, I got it on 70% and the GPU cores at about 50 degrees, 49 degrees, so there's no reason to turn the fans up. Okay, I'm going in completely cold with this one because I have no idea about Windows 11. I just know that it's coming, and I was going to be one of those people that would just wait a little bit before installing it, because there can be things where I had one time where I installed an update on Windows 10 and it broke the entire computer, and I wasn't able to start the computer again, so I had to just format the entire thing from scratch and redo it. So that was very annoying. I don't want to do that, so I'll just wait and see a little bit. Wait for like a few fixes first from Windows 11 so that they can get a lot of the bugs out of the thing, and then maybe I'll come in like maybe 3 months down the track. The other thing, of course, is like I use my computer daily, so if it's working for me right now, I kind of don't want to have to deal with more problems if there's more problems at the beginning. So that's why I don't really know. I don't really know anything about Windows 11. I haven't even looked at what they're including within Windows 11. I think Windows 10 is okay. Not the greatest. I think Windows 10 is okay. Certainly better than Windows 8. Windows 11. Today marks an exciting milestone in the history of Windows as the day becomes October 5th in each time zone around the world. Availability of Windows 11 begins through a free upgrade on eligible Windows 10 PCs and on new PCs pre-installed with Windows that can be purchased beginning today. So let me know, guys, in the chat below whether you're upgrading to Windows 11 or not. I don't want to fall too far behind everybody else, but yeah, I'll probably wait a couple of months before I put Windows 11 on. I'm not going to read the rest of that, but basically I just wanted to say that, hey, Windows 11 looks like it's available today. I think that could be pretty useful, the dark mode. It's unbelievable that we needed to wait till 2021 to have a dark mode. Okay, how about I read just this little bit. Here's how you can get Windows 11. Purchase a new PC pre-installed with Windows 11 by visiting windows.com or your local retailer. Okay. Purchase a Windows 10 PC that's eligible for the free upgrade by visiting windows.com or your local retailer. Okay, so it sounds like Windows 11 is free for everybody with Windows 10. I believe that's probably correct. Use the PC Health Check app to check if your current Windows 10 PC is eligible for the free upgrade. PC Health Check app. So I won't do it right now because maybe I have to download something. But yes, you could do it that way. Mohave Knight 17, is Windows 11 worth it? Well, see, before I started this article, I just said, yeah, I don't know because I haven't been following the Windows 11 stuff. This is the wrong stream for you to get Windows 11 information from. I'm sticking with Windows 10 for a couple more months, and then I guess I'll get into like reading up more about Windows 11 later on. See what people who use it say. Yeah, you know, it's funny because like with the channel, there's just so much to cover that I fall behind a lot of stuff. So I've fallen behind on stuff like Unreal Engine 5 stuff that was like about 3 months ago. Intel had their Intel Day that I didn't watch. I'm going to. And Windows 11 is just another one of those things where I haven't done it. So yeah, I don't know enough about Windows 11. I just wanted to say that it's coming out today. Bringing you closer to what you love. Okay, well, I'm not going to read all of this, so you guys can just look at the Windows 11 stuff yourself. Yeah, so I was saying Windows 11 has direct storage, which is how Xbox Series X and Series S runs their SSDs. So hopefully we can get the same improvements when they go and write their games. It will take advantage of those SSDs. Windows 11 also includes the Xbox app built right in. I'm pretty sure Windows 10 does that as well. So I believe Xbox was already on my Windows when I installed it. Okay, let's talk about Elden Ring. And I guess it's a good time to, that was a good time for it to disconnect because I pretty much finished on Windows 11 stuff anyways. Hey Greg, how you going? Glad for you to join this stream. I'm taking it you just got up, right? In Europe, you get up early, whereas everybody in the US is going back to sleep. Hey, yours truly. Greg, the stream should be on anyway, so there's no need for me to upload it. Normally after I finish the stream, there's just a checkbox whether I want it to be on the website or not, and usually that's always on anyway, so it should be there. So I haven't touched anything. Usually all my live streams are up. So you can always come back and rewatch the live stream anytime. Mateus, hey from me too, thanks for your channel, no problem. Happy to be making all of these videos. Because most of the time I just want to talk about the gaming with you guys. That's really all it is. Okay, Elden Ring, right? Let's talk a little bit about Elden Ring. Let's spend 5 minutes on Elden Ring, because Elden Ring is going to be coming out, I think January, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, I haven't even read the article. I just read the headline. I thought this was interesting, so I wanted to share it with you guys. So Elden Ring, obviously, makers were the developers from Software, and they made Dark Souls, Dark Souls 2, 3, Sekiro, Bloodborne, Demon Souls, those type of games. They make this very specific sort of hardcore third-person action game that is quite demanding and brutal in terms of learning from your mistakes. So they're the type of games that they make every time. I don't know why they don't make other things. I guess like it's like that with everything, really. Like if you're a gaming channel, you just make gaming videos, right? So I guess that's what they do. But Elden Ring is going to be very similar to all of their other games. It's going to be coming out January 21st. We actually saw it about a year and a half ago, I think, at E3. And then they were pretty quiet on it ever since. We know that G.R.R. Martin, the writer of Game of Thrones, is working on this. And I think it's pretty funny because everybody just told him to go back and finish Game of Thrones. And I don't know why he hasn't finished it. The TV series is finished anyway. They got sick of waiting for him, but they decided, he's also working on this. And there are touches of G.R.R. Martin in this, I feel like, at least watching the trailer. So I think this is an interesting collaboration. And I think he's going to be really useful to like breathing a lot of the background story to this world. Because I think one of the things with the Dark Souls series is that they do have backstory, but it's kind of it's unclear, even though, like, I know that if you played the Dark Souls for like 1,000 hours, you probably understand every little thing and it all made sense. But I think it should make sense for somebody who's at least playing for 100 hours. And so I think G.R.R. Martin, what he's very good at is making things clear and making all of the connections between everything very clear. And sure, like Game of Thrones is not, it can be, I always say difficult, but like it's definitely not an easy thing to keep track of. But I think he makes interesting connections a lot of the time. I think when he brings that into Elden Ring, it's going to be really interesting. And I don't think From Software do that very well. The links are incredibly vague. So only people who study it from a historical, like, you know, almost as like a historian type thing, who studies everything in the games, like looks at every room and looks at how, you know, all the objects are in the room and all that sort of thing. Only those type of people will truly understand the world there. But I think G.R.R. Martin will help from that perspective. Anyway, Elden Ring. So he said that this is producer Yasuhiro Kitao. He gave a few brief comments to Famitsu. Famitsu is the gaming magazine in Japan during the Tokyo Game Show, and said that Elden Ring is in the final stages of development and that From Software is moving forward quietly. And I think because, From Software is generally a company that's fairly on time with all of their releases. I don't think they've really had any delays to their games. Maybe Bloodborne was a little bit delayed. I don't remember. But it's not a very long delay. It'd just be a couple of months. People say that they're not as graphically technical or graphically demanding as a lot of other games, but I do find that their games are very beautiful, and their art style is really impressive in a lot of their games. It helps any of those sort of graphical deficiencies that people think that they have. like I remember people were saying, well, Dark Souls doesn't technically maybe is not as impressive as the games that were released that year, but I quite enjoyed the artistic. I quite enjoyed Dark Souls from an artistic point of view. It's 7:47. Got up at 6. Have a nice day. I have to go. Okay, see you, Greg. Thanks for joining, by the way. Mohav Knight 17. I'd still be happy if Elden Ring was delayed. Oh, why do you want it delayed? Like too many games? Because that's my problem. Is that I don't mind too much if things are delayed. I don't really like it if it's something like Persona 5 where it gets delayed like 3 years. But if it's like a couple of months, it's fine, I guess. Okay, so it says here, there's some other bits of information here for people who haven't followed it for a while. We've known for some time that Elden Ring takes place in an open world map with lots of freedom for how and when individual players can approach certain challenges. Kitao added that Elden Ring has a very unusual map structure and that players can expect to see things never seen before in a From Software game. Well, I think that's really interesting. I just hope that they don't do a lot of backtracking, which was a problem in the first game, the first Dark Souls game. I remember there was this one part where I was super annoyed with. There were these poison dart shooters, and I've forgotten where they were, but you had to go all the way across the map to get the antidote for those poison dart shooters. So you had to go through like 4 or 5 different levels, walking through all the monsters to get that antidote. You'd get back and you'd try to use the antidote, and then you'd realize you didn't have enough. So then you'd have to go run all the way back and get some more, and that was super annoying. And obviously for people who are very good at this game, that wouldn't be a problem. They would just be able to either run through all those run through all of those poison dart shooters anyways, and they wouldn't get hit by them, or they would be able to do it one time. But for me, it was kind of annoying to go backwards and forwards, which, I think when From Software, they take a very, I've forgotten what the word is, but it's kind of like you have to meet a certain standard to pass the game, right? Kind of like the old style games where if you couldn't pass one level, you wouldn't be able to pass the next level. So they wanted you to prove that you could. Okay, I'd still be happy if Elden Ring was delayed. I trust From Software completely to deliver quality. I didn't play Sekiro. I just thought Sekiro just looked way too hard, so I didn't worry too much about playing that. It looked like there was a lot of boss fights, and after playing Neo, I kind of felt like, okay, I can't do it with all of these crazy boss fights anymore. So I thought I'd take a break from that. Bloodborne was also really hard as well, and I only played like the first couple of levels. Blighttown, yes, it was Blighttown, where those poison dart shooters were. Super annoying. They'd be hanging up on that ledge, and they'd be shooting at you from out of the darkness. And you wouldn't know where they were. You'd keep your shield up. But of course, like if you wanted to attack the enemies like next to you, you'd lower your shield. But then you'd get hit by the poison dart. I'm not a very good player. So, that bit was annoying. But Elden Ring having an open map, I would say that I hope that doesn't mean that you're going to have to go run around everywhere, which... I've said my thing on open world games before on this show is that a lot of the traversing, you know what, I actually hope, I'm so glad they're actually doing open world, because I think they may be able to show everyone that they've been doing open world wrong. And this was so clear to me when I played Assassin's Creed, Odyssey, those type of games. Assassin's Creed Origins. Okay, yours truly, AG. See you later. Good night. Assassin's Creed Origins. And in Origins, you're kind of like just walking from one place to the next. But if you play something like a very tight map, like a Resident Evil, for example, that basically eliminates all of your traversal which is the boring part of the game, walking from one place to the next. And even though in Resident Evil you have to walk backwards and forwards around the police station or the map, it's okay because you memorize the map, and that's what's interesting. I think if I'm going to guess, I think Elden Ring is going to show people how to do open world games better, how to do open world maps better, because the way that it's currently being done, which has been set from GTA 3 and all of these other games, I think it's been done incorrectly. Maybe I'm going to give this a go. Let's have a look at some more footage from Elden Ring as it gets closer to the release, and then I'm going to see if it looks like it can change things up a little bit in terms of open world. Okay. We're going to talk about Steam Deck. And this is leaked dev kit benchmarks. This should be very close to the final thing. So obviously, you guys know that a lot of these dev kits have been going out to devs. People have been putting up videos of them playing games on the Steam Deck, and it's generally looked pretty good. I think there was the developer from Descenders who put up, let me see if I can find it. Whoops. Descenders Steam Deck. Can I make this a bit bigger? So he says that this is running on high settings. I think it looks pretty good. You know, it's not exactly AAA or anything like that, but he's in a fairly big world out there. And there's quite a lot of graphical fidelity as well. I don't actually know what the specs are, or the minimum specs that you need for this game, but I think this looks pretty good in terms of the quality of game that you can play on the Steam Deck. Blame Skyrim for the too many open world games. Well, in general, you know, I turn the sound down for this. Whoops. I think in general, what it is like it's the way that developers well, I won't say in the West, but I would say in the West, they've done a lot more open world games than in Japan. In the West, where they've done a lot of these open world games, is that they focused on how to get better graphical fidelity in their games and how to get more content in their games. How can they sell this game, and how can they do it from a engineering or development team perspective? And a lot of the times it's always been like, hey, let's just add more people, add more devs, and how can we make this cheaper? Okay, we'll outsource it to like a lot of other dev teams from around the world. So like maybe we'll have a couple of teams in China doing this, and a couple of teams. Ubisoft does this all the time. They just get a bunch of teams from elsewhere where it's much cheaper in terms of labor costs. So then you get these massive games where they are different to other open world games because they're bigger now and they have a lot more content. And so that's kind of how it's being done, because it's being driven by that business aspect of and people buy it. So they're like, okay, well, we're just going to make these games bigger because that's what people want. And then what you have is like, you have things like Just Cause 2, where it takes you half an hour to drive from one end of the map to the other. And that's cool if there's lots of people that like that sort of thing, who just want to, you know, bum around and just do whatever they want to do in games. I do that sometimes, especially like when benchmarking stuff. I'm always driving around looking for different things to do. But yeah, with open world games, if you're talking about gameplay experiences, yeah, I always felt like the traversal aspect, going from point A to point B to kill a bad guy or whatever, that bit where you're just walking through is not actually doing anything except just, you know, pushing up on the analog stick. Okay, so that was from Mike Rose, Rave of Ravendale. He looked at Descenders on the Steam Deck. Looks like it works really good. He says, in fact, it runs incredibly well. With full ultra graphics on, I get around 50 to 60 FPS. Yeah, exactly. They're the type of games that I would probably play on the Steam Deck. It looks great as well. But it's not like Cyberpunk. We'll get into Cyberpunk performance in just a second because they include it in this article. But yeah, I probably wouldn't play something that's too graphically demanding where my frame rate tanks. Okay, let's take a look at this. The dev kits for the Valve Steam Deck are out in the wild, and that means leaks are surely going to start coming thick and fast. In fact, I'm maybe a little surprised it's taking this long for gaming performance figures to leak out. Well, NDA, so obviously people with these Steam Decks probably aren't really supposed to be taking videos of it or even take performance aspects of it. They're not allowed to announce anything. They're just meant to be working on their games. So they probably sneakily like showed some things. I don't know why Mike Rose was allowed to. I guess he's trying to push the boundaries a little bit in terms of the NDA and just show his game running. But yeah, there you go. I don't think they're supposed to be showing too much from the Steam Deck. The report comes from a user in China via Tom's Hardware with access to a development kit. Let me have a look at this Tom's Hardware article. Maybe it's going to be better than the PC Gamer article that I found. And they acknowledge that because of this, we can't be totally confident that the performance they've seen will be 100% representative of the final release decks. The tech could well change between the dev and release hardware, particularly things like the battery and therefore battery life. Okay, well, I'm not going to read this in Chinese because my Chinese is almost non-existent. But, oh look, we can translate that. What we might do is maybe we'll go to the Tom's Hardware article. It's the same as the PC Gamer article. Okay, so, but still, this is the same AMD Zen 2 APU at its heart, with the RDNA 2 silicon doing the graphical heavy lifting, and that means the actual FPS performance numbers we're seeing are likely to be pretty close. And the news is good too. The tester ran Shadow of the Tomb Raider, Doom, Cyberpunk 2077, and Dota 2 through the Steam Deck at a variety of settings, and each one of these graphically intensive games is totally playable with some tweaking. Alright, let's take a look at these numbers. In Tomb Raider, they managed to... I'm going to blow this up, sorry. Okay, hope you guys can read that, most of it. Okay, in Tomb Raider, they managed a consistent 30 FPS plus on the highest and high presence presets, I should probably say, and did actually manage to get a solid 60 FPS by lowering some of the settings on offer a bit further. Though they did note that even on the higher settings, as the frame rate maintained around 30 FPS, it felt satisfying to play. With Doom, the dev kit was able to nail 60 FPS on the medium preset, while bumping the picture quality up a touch did knock that back to 46 FPS, but still smooth and playable. And we know this from Linus's video. Linus looked at Doom Eternal. I believe this will be Doom Eternal. And yeah, these were the numbers that he was getting, about 60 FPS. It was going down to about 50. It depends, right? Like how busy the scene is. So expect like you will be able to play 800p at 50 to 60 FPS, which is still really smooth. Like people worried about 50. I think there are just going to have to be some compromises that you're going to have to live with for the first Steam Deck anyways. That's you're not going to be able to get 60. You may be a little bit under, and you're going to have to just live with that, like 50, 55 FPS, that sort of thing. Of course, you could go to low settings for this, but I think when you see it in action, you'll probably just go, okay, I'm happy to accept it just a little bit under. At 55, it doesn't mean that it's not as smooth, though it may be a little bit noticeable because your screen is 60 Hertz. So if you're over 60, then it feels pretty smooth, but if you're under it, it just feels slightly a little bit off. But it's not too bad. It's definitely not as bad as if you were to play it at 30 FPS, for example. Okay, so what do we have? We have Shadow of the Tomb Raider, highest is 30 FPS, but if you tweak the settings a bit, you can get it to 60 FPS. And Doom, you have custom settings. So I'm guessing this would be like the really high settings. You would get 46 FPS. And then if you just play it at medium settings, you get 60 FPS. Cyberpunk 2077 at high settings, 20 to 30 FPS. Now, yeah, I would just play Cyberpunk 2077 at low settings if you wanted to do that. And honestly, the game looks pretty good. I've shown this before, like low and ultra settings. There's not really that much difference to how it looks like. There is a little bit, but you know, it's extremely close and way closer than any other game I've seen. The Dota 2 is the highest is 47 FPS and low is 80 FPS. So it seems like maybe you'll probably be able to play Dota 2 at medium at like 60 FPS. I know a lot of people who want to play Dota want to play at like 500 FPS. Well, I think this is a reasonable way to like just play it casually. One thing I wanted to show you, I guess, I've probably shown it before, right? Is Cyberpunk 87 at low ultra settings comparison. Okay, so see if we can play this. Okay, so I don't know if you guys can you oh crap. So low on the left, right on is ultra, and if you have to play at 20 FPS versus 30, maybe 35 FPS, it's almost a no-brainer to play it at the low graphics when it looks like this. It's so close that I don't think it really matters that much. I almost can't really tell. Like, for example, here there may be a bit more reflection on the ultra graphics. There's some shadowing. But overall, the fact that almost everything gets included in the low-end graphics, and I think I know why they do this, because they want the game to look good when everybody shows it off, and that's why it's so high. Like low and ultra is just, it's crazy how close they can be. So for me personally, I think it's perfectly fine to play it at low settings. Not every game you can do this, but I think for Cyberpunk you can. Okay, so I won't show too much because I'm running out of bandwidth for this stream. But anyway, you can go and check that video out yourself. Let me stop that. Let me go back to the Steam Deck. It did also crash once. Okay, though the other games were apparently very stable. Finally, with Dota 2, though the experience of trying to play it using the handheld controls was not a particularly pleasant one, the actual performance was pretty good. At its highest preset, the deck was running happily at around 47 FPS, while on low, you're looking at around 80 FPS. They also have some notes about the thermal levels and battery life of the Steam Deck Dev Kit 2, around 3 hours of playtime, presumably with Cyberpunk 2077. So that's really impressive, actually, because I think it was like a 40 watt hour battery, and then if this is operating at 15 watts, well, you need 45 watts if you want 3 hours. So if you're playing Cyberpunk 2077, that's pretty impressive. Shadow of the Tomb Raider and Doom, the battery had dropped from 100% to 46. Okay, so sorry. So they're playing three different things. So it could be you're using a varied amount of battery. That chimes pretty well with the suggested single charge lifespan of 2 to 8 hours. I would have imagined that playing 3 hours of that you would only be able to play 3 hours of that, and it would use up all the battery. So that is really impressive. It's almost as if you can get like say 5 hours of battery from playing these games, Cyberpunk 2077, Shadow of the Tomb Raider, and Doom. That's really impressive if you can do that. So it makes me wonder, like, what if it's a stock, what is it running at stock then? Is it actually using 15 watts is my answer, my question. And as our Wes noted from his Steam Deck hands-on time, it can get pretty toasty during gaming. The back of the deck hits around 43 degrees, but where it matters, around the actual places where you'll be holding the device, it was only measuring at around 29 degrees. So I think that seems okay for me. Yeah, 43 degrees is a little hot, but 29 degrees is fine. This all bodes well for the Steam Deck when it does finally launch in December, and those performance figures are genuinely exciting. While you're not necessarily going to be smashing 60 FPS at the higher settings, it's worth remembering that you can still have a great gaming experience with a sub 60 FPS frame rate. Consistency is the main thing you want, and it looks like the deck will deliver. The first decks will ship in December this year, but if you too have waited to place a reservation, then sadly you're not getting one until sometime after June next year, sorry. Okay, well, it is what it is, I guess. That's pretty much it for the stream. Now, don't go anywhere. Yeah, so I guess we can talk a little bit more about the Steam Deck. You guys, if you want to ask questions about the Steam Deck, go ahead in the chat. I guess I will just ramble on for another 10-15 minutes and then chat with you guys in the chat if you have anything to say there. But in terms of the availability of the Steam Deck, I do feel like they announced it a bit too early, because I feel like if you announce something and then only a few people can get it, I feel like that's kind of, yeah, it's a little bit less exciting. A little bit like PS5 almost. I know a lot of people are excited. But for me, I felt like, well, I probably can't get one, and I think it's kind of expensive, so I just didn't worry about it too much. And the Steam Deck, well, obviously because I can't get into my region, I mean, I was excited of course, but it just felt like there's just not enough units, and I don't even know when they're going to come out with it in my region. I think they're probably going to cater to their regions first and get demand a little bit under control before they even think about other regions. I think the Valve Index in Australia, they didn't even launch until like maybe a year or two after, which I hope the Steam Deck doesn't take 2 years to launch in Australia, because that would be a real bummer. I know a lot of people in Australia would love to get their hands on the Steam Deck, but they have to resort to things like forwarding services from the US to actually get a Steam Deck, which is a real nuisance. And, you know, it's not like we've run out of things to play. We've got PlayStation 5s and Nintendo Switches, got plenty of things to play. So, but if it was actually out and available, I think people would really jump on board. Mohav Knight says, I'm hyped for Fallout New Vegas, nodded in handheld mode. Yep, that would be a great game to play on the handheld. It's that type of sort of not too demanding game, at least in terms of like gameplay experience, whereas I feel like I actually got Dark Souls, right, on the Nintendo Switch, but I just felt like I was a little bit cramped on that screen, because you have to be very exact with everything that you do. So I don't think that's a great place to play Dark Souls. Much better on a bigger screen, and so you're not like peeking around, squinting at everything, trying to see if a monster's going to come out from around the corner or whatever. But Fallout New Vegas, an RPG where you can have enjoyable conversations. It's a little. I haven't played Fallout New Vegas. I don't play Fallout, but it seems like you can enjoy the narrative aspects of it on a Steam Deck. One thing I've said a lot about the Steam Deck is the UI. So I hope they do work on the UI, because there are games like Baldur's Gate that would be great for a Steam Deck. But if they're just going to, if it's just going to be the same game as it is on the big screen, on that little screen, then a lot of those icons and things are going to be very small. So that's going to be a problem as well, I think, if developers don't do any work on it. If there's like no custom profiles for like a Steam Deck profile where it looks better on the Steam Deck with all of the UI sized properly, it's going to be tough to play things like a Baldur's Gate and read tiny text on the Steam Deck. I guess now that we've finished all of the articles, well, I guess I'll just talk about some other things that like more personal things, unless there's other things that you guys want to talk about. So one thing I did do was, now I did make a video on this. I made a video, it was the retro handheld guide video that I made a few days ago, I think. And I said, I've been researching all of these handhelds, and I finally decided on the one that I wanted to get. Mohab Knight 17, you could ask a friend to pre-order and then ship it to you. Yeah, I would. I think I would have to set it all up, right? Like I'd have to set up a Steam account and make it a US account and then buy it and then ask him to, and then send it to his house and then ask him to send it for me. Now that I have a YouTube channel, I guess I could ask somebody from the US. So it's okay. I don't really mind that much that I don't have a Steam Deck. It's not something I absolutely have to have. It'd be nice to have it on the channel so I can, talk about it on the channel. But as you know from a lot of my videos, I didn't want to make a channel where I just had to have the theme before I talked about it. I just wanted to talk about gaming with you guys, whether the product was out or not, or even, I didn't want to have it so that I have to be buying stuff all the time for the channel. So it's okay if I don't have the Steam Deck. I can still talk about the Steam Deck. The problem, I guess, it is a little bit sad I don't have it, but that's fine. I have plenty of other consoles, like this Odin, for example. So for the retro handheld guy, I was researching all of these handhelds because I wanted to make a decision on buying one of these, because I figured this was the next gen. So I wanted to get something. The previous generation, of course, is the Rockchip 3326 sort of level of handhelds, and there are a lot of handhelds that came out with that chipset, like the RG351P, which I now have 3 of. I think I will have to sell the RG351M to finance this Odin. So I'll probably do that when I get back to Australia. Yeah, so there's a whole bunch of handhelds that are probably going to be coming out fairly soon. There's one that's already come out already, which is the Powkiddy. Is it searching or not? Okay, here we go. Okay, so this one is coming out, the X18S. I did see some comments that it looks really ugly. Actually, I don't think it looks ugly. I think maybe the first time you look at it, it does look ugly, because it's like, hey, it's supposed to be a DS, where's the second screen? And they really, they went real minimalist on this, on the bottom there. But honestly, I don't think it's too bad. It's $170, which is a little expensive. I would have preferred if it was like around the $120, $130. I think this would really be really sweet. But I guess they're upping the prices for all of these things, which kind of makes the Odin a really good deal, actually. Like, if this is $170 and the Odin Lite is $170, roughly speaking, then the Odin Lite has a better processor in it. It's got the Dimensity 900. So if you were to choose between those two, I would probably just say get the Odin Lite. The thing with the Odin Lite is that it's an unproven company so far. So they haven't made any handhelds before. And the handheld, yeah, sure, okay, it's manufactured by the factory, it's put together by the factory, but there's a lot of things in terms of design that, you know, if you're in charge of looking after the design for these handhelds, there's a lot of little things that they have to look after, things that you probably don't expect, that may be inside the console, maybe just, you know, around the body of the console, that they have to fix. So yeah, it's not as simple as like, hey, going to the factory, calling them up and say, hey, we want a new console, can you put this chip in? I think there's a lot more that goes into it than that. So yeah, there was the X18S, there was this GPD XP, and for some reason, I don't know why my search is stalling all the time. Now this is a really interesting console. So GPD, they make GPD Win 2, GPD Win Max. So they do lots of little small portable computers that they also wanted to make for gamers. Now they also wanted to make something for their Android line. And they previously had a GPT XD, which looked exactly like this Powkiddy X18S. But that came out a couple of years ago, and I thought about getting one of those, but at the time I got a GPD Win 2, and I don't have that anymore, I sold it. The Win 2 obviously runs Windows games and Steam games, that's why I wanted to get it, but I decided it was too hot for me, and it was a prototype, so I got rid of it. It was very, very hot, but that was mostly because of the SSD issue. So I think when they fixed that, it was a little bit cooler, but I also didn't have enough time to spend with it, so I thought it was a bit expensive for me, so I decided to get rid of it. But anyway, GPD XP, they're looking at Android phones or Android system with, this is the MediaTek Helio G95. So they wanted to make something that suited Android gamers. And so they went with this modular system. They figured that there are 3 types of gamers on this, on Android devices. So they like to play MOBAs, which means you have to touch the screen because there's lots of different buttons on it. They want to play first-person shooters, and they wanted to, they have like very specific buttons that they have things for, which, to be honest, I think with the FPS controller module, they probably could have just gone with the Xbox controller module, but I think maybe they thought that that right analog stick kind of gets in the way, so they decided to make a third one anyways. This GPD XP now has different attachments for the different games that you want to play. So it's a different take on a handheld, and this has a 6.81 inch screen, and it's a very long screen. This is a MediaTek Helio G95 8-core, so I guess this is like a middle of the road type of processor, under a Dimensity, under a what was the other one called? The Snapdragons as well. So and it has 6 gigabytes of LPDDR4X, which is pretty impressive. 128 gigabytes of storage. So yeah, that's another handheld that's coming. So there are a lot of handhelds coming. In that retro handheld guide, I go through 6 handhelds. There's the Ambinic RG552, which I've done a video on. There's the Miu P60 as well. And that could be about it. There's a Retro Pocket 3, which is also coming. But yeah, go and check that video out. It's fairly long, but each handheld is like 3 or 4 minutes. So if you just want to look at 1 or 2 handhelds, you can go and do that. So I decided to get the Odin. And the reason I got the Odin was that it will play GameCube better. That really was the main reason. And I think that's why Odin came in and tried to make this handheld as fast as they could. It appears that even though they've been developing this, or they say they've been in this development for a long time. I do feel like at the end there, they really decided to just put the pedal to the metal and just try to get this thing out, because with Steam Deck coming and everything else coming, they really want to get this handheld out, because this new generation of handhelds, they mostly are at about that PSP or Dreamcast level of games that it can emulate, but GameCube is probably where it's going to be half and half. So this X18S, they've shown it in videos that you can play things like Windwaker. So let's go and have a look at this, because I really do like this X18S. I might get one actually, but I will probably end up selling it off, because I can't really afford to have this many number of devices, to be honest. Now, how do I... Okay, Powkiddy, right? Maybe I just type in Powkiddy. No. Maybe Powkiddy. They have their website, right? Where... Here we go. Okay. Let's put up Legend of Zelda. So you can see that it can play some GameCube games. Now, I've been told that Wind Waker isn't that difficult to emulate. So this is kind of like their go-to game to show that it can play GameCube, but it's not going to play everything. Taki Udon just posted a video onto his Taki2 website or channel, and F-Zero GX on the GameCube doesn't run perfectly on even the Odin. So that's not going to run very well on this X18S because it has a lower processor on it. So this X18S is going to be pretty good for PSP, Dreamcast games and all of that sort of thing. But GameCube will probably be about 50-50 for this. And you can see there he's playing with the controller, so it's a Bluetooth controller. So you could technically have this as like, you can plug this into your TV and it could be like your portable console, which is kind of cool, I think. In that retro handheld guide, I go through 6 devices and all of them play this level, like PSP, Dreamcast, and maybe some GameCube. Whereas the Odin is going to play a little bit more GameCube. And one of the problems that I had with the previous generation, I had the RG351P, is that you get excited about PSP and Dreamcast, and you're thinking, okay, maybe it can play a couple of the games that I wanted to play. The thing is, like with emulation, more often than not, it's the more difficult games that take up more energy or more processing power that are the ones that are difficult to emulate. So if you think about PS2, for example, most likely all of the difficult games that you want to play, like God of War or Shadow of the Colossus, or those type of Gran Turismo, those are probably the types of games that probably aren't going to run as well when you try to emulate that system. So it's usually the games that you wanted to play that probably don't play, and it's usually you're left with the things that are really easy to emulate that can play well. So I just wasn't, I didn't want to go halfway. So that's why I decided to get the Odin, because it can play a little bit more. And we don't know when the next level of device is going to come. I'm sure it'll be like 6 months or a year, and they'll bring out the next processor with on their next handheld. But yeah, I thought, well, let's give this Odin thing a go, because it's, well, at least the Odin base seems like okay value. It's like $200 before you include the shipping. The Pro is a little bit too expensive, I think, especially when we're unclear about if you need the 8 gigabytes or 4 gigabytes, whether you need that extra 4 gigabytes of RAM. So I think I didn't want to spend the extra $50, and in terms of storage, I could probably just get a micro SD card anyways. So that's why I just went with the base model for the Odin, and it still was very expensive. Like, it was $260 for the Odin base. And the thing is, like, if you get a Steam Deck, it's $399. I don't know if shipping is included. Maybe it is, maybe it's not, but it only takes another $140 to get you up to a Steam Deck. So Odin was kind of in a position where I think they really had to get that Odin out, at least before everyone started to get Steam Decks, because the Steam Deck would be much better value. Now, interesting thing about the Odin is that let's take a look at Genshin Impact, because this is one game that I'm interested to play on the Odin. Well, the other thing is that I wouldn't mind getting this X18S, to be honest, but I probably will think about selling it. But I had a look on their website, and they're all sold out of the Powkiddy X18S anyways. For me, I really like clamshell, so I would. It kind of also makes no sense to, because it's just not possible. It's like, I have a PC, I have a Switch, and those are my. I don't even have 3 hours to play video games these days, per day, that is. So yeah, it's very difficult to have so many devices. I understand that people like to collect these type of things, tinker around with them and all that, and that's great. For me though, yeah, even the wife is probably going to ask questions. Hey, why do you have like 15 consoles? But I do think the console looks really nice. I like the grey. I like the 2 shades of grey on the X18S. I like the widescreen aspect, the 16:9. I don't actually like it for the 3DS, funnily enough, because I prefer it if the 2 screens were exactly the same size, like a DS. Which I always found the 3DS was really weird that they had a wider top screen than the bottom one. And I never really got over that. But this looks like awesome. Like, this looks... I did say to somebody, maybe it's because clamshells are a bit nerdy, you know? It's just an extra thing, right? Like, if you were just playing games from an industrial design perspective, you were just playing games, then the cheapest way to make that system would be something like the Switch Lite, for example, where you just have the buttons on the side and the screen in the middle. But that clamshell, to protect it a little bit, I don't know how to describe it. I said it was a little bit nerdy. It may be a little bit nerdy. I love that click though, you know, when you close that clamshell, when it's done right. That's why I like clamshells. And yes, I do like to protect the screen, which is another reason why I like clamshells. But with phones, no, I don't really worry too much about protecting the phone. I do have like a case and a screen protector on it, but that's all it really needs. So yeah, I wanted to get this X18S actually, just to like test it out a little bit and play around with it. I think it looks really fun. And who knows, maybe I like it better than the Odin. But yeah, they sold out on their website and also on AliExpress. And I believe they're probably at their national holiday at the moment over in China. So I think no one's responding to anything. I asked them on their chat, hey, when are you going to get more X18S? But they didn't say anything. But I feel like, I don't know what X18S is like. Man, it almost looks like it's a Zelda Breath of the Wild clone right there. Like doing all that cooking and stuff. But I think that would be an interesting game to play on this. Okay, well, I was just going to let this video run to the end. And then we'll go back to the Odin and why I chose it. I've probably talked a lot about the Odin already. And as you can see, like the Android performance is really good on this. Genshin Impact looks great. It might be running at low settings, but it still looks really good. Okay, that's the Powkiddy, and if we go to this Powkiddy thing, it says it's sold out, and I did the chat thing with them, but they're not there. Let's so they said they're currently unavailable. I did type something. I did ask them if they had any more X18S. I would imagine that it takes probably a couple of weeks, maybe because they're on holidays now. It might be like 3 weeks or 4 weeks, which is a shame because then I would have been able to get one and then get one at the same time as most other people are getting one. Like I know Retro Game Corp ordered one, so he'll probably get out his video first, and then there'll be no point for me to put out my video because he's very thorough. But I think, yeah. So everyone's going to get those, and then I'll be like 3 weeks late, so I don't even know if it'll be worth it to get it. But I probably wouldn't be doing it for views anyway, because I don't even make enough on views to get my money back for this. $172. I think you'd probably have to have 100,000 views to get them, to get $172, roughly. Yeah. Okay, so Odin, so they finished their campaign, and to be honest, 2,000 backers, that's not too bad, I guess. I think they could have done more. I think because of Steam Deck, it probably hurt them a little bit, especially because I think their initial plan was, hey, we know that there are these companies like Powkiddy and GPD. They're going to come out with a system that's going to play PSP Dreamcast. Okay, well, why don't we come in and do a GameCube on top and get people that way? That's their pitch. However, they've been kind of another handheld's come out, the Steam Deck. So then it doesn't look as it's kind of like they had to keep their cost low as well, Odin, because otherwise it gets too close to the Steam Deck. But if we look at, say, like I don't know, like, is the Retroid Pocket Go here on Indiegogo? I don't remember. I wonder how many people ordered the Retroid Pocket. Okay, I don't think it's here. But, I mean, obviously we can't really compare it to the ANEO because... So the ANEO had 2,500 backers, but obviously that was like $700, $800. So different types of stats there. I guess it's not too bad, like 2,000 backers for the Odin. I think, certainly for me, I expected them to have more, because I did make a video that said, hey, you only want to offer people 100 units of the base model. And then, because initially, a lot of the marketing messages were, hey, the Odin, they were trying to market it as Project 199, and then when they actually had their Indiegogo go live, they only had 100 units of it. So I almost felt like that was a little bit of a bait and switch, because they effectively told at least 100,000 people who watched Taki's Udon's video that it was going to be 199, and then only 100 people would be able to get it. And I initially thought that was going to go for like in a couple of hours, like it was just going to sell out in a couple of hours, nobody was able to get it, and then that would be annoying. But unbelievably, that Odin base early bird didn't really sell out. I don't know how many it sold out to because now it doesn't show it. But here you can see that you can still order it, I believe, but now it's going to come in January. So I think they're pretty confident this is coming in November, December, as they initially said. So all of the backers, the IGG backers, it initially said November for the Odin base and Odin Pro, and Odin Lite's going to come in December. So I think they're pretty confident that they're going to deliver for IGG. I think it's not that much earlier, which is a bit of a shame. Not really of a shame, but I guess that's good for anybody who's ordering now, right? Like, that's great. You get it pretty soon after people who are getting it for the IGG. So I wouldn't worry too much about ordering it now because it looks like you can continue to order it. There's no end date for this. And so I would probably just wait until people get this in their hands. I guess they'll get it in November or December, and then they can try it out, and then you can order it later. This thing is coming to retail. So, and I don't think it's going to be that much more expensive at retail anyways. There's a $30 shipping here, and so maybe that will be part of the retailer's cut. And then, so it will cost you like maybe $30 more on top of this, if at all. And then maybe you'll have to deal with like slower shipping, like 2-week shipping if you want the base shipping. If you want to pay for faster shipping, then you have to pay more. Now, I think at the end of my retro handheld video, I did say that I talked a little bit about why I chose the base, but I didn't really go into that much detail. And so let's talk a little bit about that while we're here. And then I think we'll wrap it up. So if you have any questions or anything like that, put them in the chat, and then I'll have a look. Okay, so why did I get the base versus the Pro and the Lite? Okay, so the Lite is a MediaTek Dimensity D900, and the Powkiddy X18S is the it's the T618. And so when I looked at the Unisoc chip, hopefully this doesn't take too long. Well, essentially, this chip is a little bit lower. So this chip is, says here, 2 fast ARM Cortex A75 cores at up to 2 gigahertz and 6 power efficient cores, A55 cores at up to 1.8 gigahertz. So this is an ARM with 2 gigahertz and 6 1.8. And then your Dimensity 900, so Android Authority MediaTek guide. Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. We're waiting on the internet here. Okay. So the D900, wherever that is. Okay, so it's like a mid-range chip. This is 2 Cortex A76 and 6 Cortex A55. And this runs a little bit higher. So this runs at 2.4 gigahertz. We're talking about maybe 20% better than the Powkiddy X18S. So if you see something running at like 60 FPS, maybe if you see something running 60 FPS on the Lite, it may be like, I don't know, 48 FPS, 50 FPS on the Powkiddy X18S. So I just felt like the Lite was a bit close to this Powkiddy X18S. Now, it's a little bit different when you talk about Snapdragons, because I found out that, well, the benchmarks are different. The Lite actually has better benchmarks than the base and the Pro. So yeah, if you go look at Geekbench, for example, the Dimensity D900 has better single core performance than the Snapdragon SD845. The SD845 came out a while back in 2018, and the D900 came out, I believe, this year. I don't know if they said. But anyways, it's a couple of years newer. The Lite chip is newer. And so it's more efficient. It's 6 nanometer and uses less energy. So I think this is going to have pretty decent battery life on the Lite versus the Base and Pro. But this, it still has more. I've heard people talk about this. They just say, people who are more knowledgeable about Android stuff than I am, they say that this has better drivers or more mature drivers so that the GameCube games can run a bit better. There was this game, Super Mario Sunshine on GameCube, that Taki did videos for, and they're on separate channels as well. So one's on his second channel and one's on his other channel, but it didn't run as well on the Lite. So I figured, okay, it's probably going to be, maybe it's going to be like that on MediaTek, and it may be a little bit smoother on the Snapdragon. It may be a bit warmer as well, but you know, I think the thing that is most important is that the game actually runs. So there's no point if it doesn't run and it's cool, right? So better get it on the system where the games are going to run. And so I just wanted to play it a little bit safe, even though I was going to pay like an extra $30 or $40 for the base, that some of these GameCube games are going to run. Now with the Pro, you get the 8GB LPDDR4X, you get 128GB of storage, and you also get a little bit bigger battery, 6,000 milliamp hour battery. So the storage I wasn't too worried about, because I think I will just have a micro SD card anyways, and then it's not going to make a difference really in terms of game loading for GameCube games. The RAM is the biggest difference here. So did I want to pay $50 for the RAM, the 4 extra gigabytes? And I think in hindsight, it definitely is going to run Windows on ARM better. Like, I just feel like 4 gigabytes for Windows is not really that great. Now Taki has done a video where he's run Windows on ARM on the base model, and it's been fine. And he did GameCube emulation. So if you're just going to run GameCube emulation, they'll be fine. The other thing, of course, is like there probably aren't going to be that many Windows games that run on that Windows on ARM device, because you're going to need some sort of emulator to get it running. So I think it's not going to be, I think the 8 gigabytes is not going to be that big of a deal, because there just aren't going to be games that are going to be using 8 gigabytes. And if there are, well, then I guess I won't be able to play them as much. A lot of the things with emulation is that we already know a lot of the specs set in stone, so we don't have to be as forward thinking about the device as you may be like with a PC, for example. Like with a PC, it's like, okay, how many gigabytes do I need 4 or 5 years down the line? Because when I buy the system, I mean, okay, sure, you can upgrade the RAM, but like, what about the CPU? Like, how much do you need for the next 3 or 4 years? So you kind of want to plan a little bit for that as well. CapMax Gaming, I later wanted to upgrade the RAM on my Lite, but the site didn't offer the chance to add it after the order. Yeah, it doesn't. Maybe you can ask them. I don't know how, but maybe you can email them and ask. I think the other thing to do would be then to cancel your order, but I guess you can't really cancel your order now because you lose your place in line. But previously, when the IGG campaign was on, you cancel it and then you would just make a new one. Like for me, I just canceled my early bird base, and then a couple of days later I got the super early bird base, the secret one, and I saved $10. So I did that. So yeah, that could be one way to get that RAM. So yeah, I felt like 8 gigabytes I could probably get away with. Like it's touch and go. I mean, like, who knows, right? Like I just feel like a lot of the times there are some things like you say I'm gonna get it, but then you never end up actually using it. So like if I got 128 gigabytes of RAM because I want to do video editing, I may never actually use that extra 64 gigabytes. So it's a little bit like that. CatMax Gaming says, yeah, it's fine. I'm hoping the 4 gigs are enough. I think it's going to be enough for like 95% of the things you do, and it will really only be like the forward or future things that we don't really know about right now that may not work. For example, there may be an Android game that uses up 5 gigabytes of RAM, for example, and then we may have trouble running it. But in that case, maybe you just drop the settings down a little bit, and then it will use a little bit less RAM. So, but another thing that I've thought about as well is that there's bottlenecks everywhere, and that's one of the things that we have to think about, like in terms of whether you have a graphics card with 8 gigabytes of RAM, or whether you have 8 gigabytes of system RAM, or on a mobile, or these handhelds with 4 gigabytes, is that maybe the Snapdragon SDA45, that will get too old by the time you actually need 5 gigabytes or 8 gigabytes of RAM anyways. You see what I mean? Like, for example, the RTX 3070, maybe that will be too slow before 8 gigabytes even matters for the VRAM. So there's different bottlenecks everywhere, and it may, the RAM may not be the aspect that gets that will be the one that bottlenecks the system. Because I think for the 3070, if I can just get sidetracked a little bit, is the 3070, I think you're going to run out of processing power before you run out of the VRAM. So I think that's why, it'll be okay for the next couple of years. But of course, there'll be a time where 8 gigabytes of RAM is not enough. CatMax Gaming AliExpress also mentions that the X18S is shipping with RAM, 4 gigabytes ROM, and 60. Yeah, and the thing is, like, I don't know if you can actually change the settings there. Like, there's no options for this X18S. Like, you go into the drop-down menu and there's no other options. Like, it's just style flip, and then RAM is... There's only one type. Well, maybe they're going to bring out another one with 8 gigabytes and 128 because, why not? They can make more money that way. But for now, I think people should know, like, say 5-10 Android games that they might be thinking of playing, and whether that's going to be using 4 gigabytes of RAM or not. For me, it'll be like Genshin Impact, maybe, I don't think it'll be Call of Duty, maybe Need for Speed, for example, and just check on those games and see if they use more than, how many gigabytes of RAM they use. And that should give you a rough gauge of if you think you should get the 4 gigabyte or 8 gigabyte version of the Odin. So yeah, so that's why I went with the base and Pro. The Pro at $260 or $70. Is it 250? I think it's $260. It's $50 more than the base. So the base is $210 and the Pro is $260, and then of course you have to pay $30 shipping on top. So it'll be it's around $280, $290 for the Pro. It's just a little bit too expensive for me, because that would be $300 I can just put onto the Steam Deck. And honestly, like the Steam Deck, I don't think the 64 gigabytes is too bad. I talked to a lot of people, and okay, I haven't really decided. I may still go with the 512 gigabyte model. I do think it's quite expensive though to jump up to the 512. But I think people are so used to paying for Apple iPhones where they have like $100 for the next level of storage. They kind of just accept that, and they will just go for the Steam Deck because 512 model, because it's the top model. And honestly, like 256 is really not that much storage. 512 is not that much storage anyways. So yeah, I think they're just gonna go, hey, I installed Dirt Rally 2 yesterday. It was 102 gigabytes, and so if you get the 512 gigabyte model, you can only have 3 or 4 of those type of games. CatMax Gaming Dimensity 900 is pretty good by comparison, much more recent chipset too. Yeah, I also considered the Dimensity 900 for quite a while there. It took me 30 days before I finally decided which Odin that I wanted. I just ended up opting for the base, but I think the Lite is going to be really nice as well. Yeah, I really couldn't decide between the Lite, base, and Pro. I was going backwards and forwards between all of them. Okay, so that's going to be about it. I don't have anything else that I really wanted to say. We'll just leave it for 5 minutes, see if there's any more comments, and if not, then I'm just going to call it a day. Thank you so much for joining for the stream today. And yes, I'm a little bit rusty at this sort of thing, so a lot of times I will go off on a tangent, and I need to improve on that. CatMax Gaming, exactly. LOL, exactly. Thank you for bringing up a great point that I also wanted to say. So CatMax Gaming says, LOL, let's be real. This stuff is going to be even stronger in a year from now. Exactly. So there's going to be an Odin 2. Has to be. I mean, they've done all of the hard work. All they have to do is put in a new processor in, and it's probably going to be like 6 months, or at least enough where they can go, okay, well, I think people are going to buy another handset from me. So it could be, I mean, look at Neo coming out with a second Neo 2021. So pretty much almost as soon as after the first one shipped, like they started shipping the other one in June or July, I think. And then now they are shipping the September one, the 2021 one in September with the Vega 8 units. And so I wouldn't be surprised if Odin 2 is already being worked on with the new processor. Maybe one of the reasons why they dropped down from the 855 to 845. So next time people can buy their 888. So yeah, that was another reason why I didn't get the Pro, because if I liked the base enough, I would put that extra $40 onto the Pro next time. Because if another one comes out in a year, then I don't really need that 8 gigabytes of LPDDR4X. And I think I'm going to try to get into this system where, okay, I will sell off some of my handhelds and stuff like that, because it's impossible to have all of these handhelds and then just store them away somewhere. Like Nintendo and Sony ones, maybe I won't sell them, but the other ones, I think I will probably have to get rid of some of them to make room for other newer handhelds. And so that was the other thing. So with the X18S, yeah, to get more stuff for this channel, I think that would be a good way to do it as well. Like, I don't want this channel to become only just getting products and stuff, because I just can't get through that many products with, you know, with having a family and having to go to work and all that sort of stuff. So I don't want to do that. There's a lot of testing and things like that involved. And so it's hard to get the videos up as well. And all I wanted to do was just talk about gaming anyways. But yeah, I think that would make sense to, like, previously I didn't want to just buy all of these handhelds. Well, maybe I will just buy them and then I'll use them for a review or use them for a video, a few videos, and then maybe I'll just sell them afterwards. And that way, then I can sort of fund some of these devices, because I think it would be okay if I paid, like, say $170 for this, and then I sold it for like 20% less or 30% less, and then I don't know, $140. Claudio, nothing will beat the Lenovo water-cooled phone. I probably should put that into the title, hey? The water-cooled phone. I don't know. Who's going to buy this? I'm sure the mobile pros will probably buy something like that. They need to squeeze every last bit of performance from their phones. It has 18 gigabytes of RAM, so obviously, clearly, 4 gigabytes is really not enough. So we have to get that upgrade to that Pro. CatMax Gaming, they're pretty fun to collect though, not gonna lie. Oh, for sure. They're amazing. Like, and the thing is, with these handhelds, I think they hit on that niche amazing. Like, the fact that each device is quite unique in and of itself. Even last generation, you had things like the RG351P which was a 3x2 screen, and then they would come out with the RG351V, which is the vertical Game Boy one with a 4x3 screen. And even just doing things like lots of little things like that, they're able to make an entirely new handheld that you kind of go, oh yeah, I can see a use for this. I do want to play Game Boy games on that RG351V, and that would be better than the RG351P, even though you can play your Game Boy games on 351P. And then so on and so forth. Like add an analog stick here, take away the analog stick there, and make this a 3-inch screen, make this a 4-inch screen, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh yeah, I can see a use for this. And then even the thing with the metal, like having an RG351M metal, although I did only get the metal one just to get the Wi-Fi in there. As it turns out, I don't quite like the RG351M, but that is just me. Claudio, I'm about to cancel my Steam Deck order for the Lenovo water-cooled phone. Well, so it's a concept, and I think you shouldn't cancel your Steam Deck, because even if you don't want it, and I know maybe you're just joking here, but guys, don't cancel your Steam Decks anytime soon. I'm sure you could probably get 2x for your Steam Deck at the very least. Virtual RAM is a thing in phones now too. CapMax Gaming, I'm so glad we're moving past the rock chip finally. Yeah, and I think to do it, they finally said, okay, we're going to have to go to these MediaTek Dimensity chips and these G-series chips that they have as well. And I'm happy with that. They definitely have way better performance. And I don't mind moving into the $150 mark for these handhelds. I do think $200 is too expensive though. I think, you know, there's this sort of impulse buy where it was easy for me to go, okay, I can drop $80 on a 351P. But once you get to $200, it's kind of like a switch. And then it's like, well, I can't really fit this in my lifestyle. I can't have that many. I can't buy like 4 or 5 of these $200 handhelds. I'm sure people will though. So that's my mindset at the moment. I think that's kind of also why you saw the Odin having a little bit less sales. I thought it would have more sales than that. It had 2,000 sales. I thought it would probably have a bit more. Not too bad, but I think, yeah, once you get past like the $100 range, it gets tough. And maybe the Retroid Pocket 3, excuse me, maybe the Retroid Pocket 3, that will, if the price is right, like if it's $120 like people say it is, and it's a little bit less performant than even say this Powkiddy X18S, it could become almost a impulse buy, because everything else is going to be like $170, $180. CapMax Gaming, AliExpress knows I want to collect more though. They keep showing me slightly cheaper, older Amber Nick gadgets. Yeah, there's just too much stuff right now. You're addicted, mate. But so am I. We can go through this process together of unaddicting ourselves, like therapy class. CapMax Gaming, true. I can buy a used Switch Lite for less than what I paid for my Odin Lite. Yeah. And then obviously the games are really expensive on the Switch, so you know it all kind of adds up in the end. Okay, so that's going to be it for this one, and I'm really excited to be back streaming again. I had a good time talking to you guys. Thank you so much for joining into the chat, and I don't know when I'll do a live stream again, because you know I'm doing this live stream at the studio, and so I don't know when I'm going to be here. But yeah, I guess I will see you guys with my next video. Make sure to comment in those videos as well. Make sure to join the Discord as well. If you enjoyed the chat here, join our Discord, where I'm always in there, and there are quite a few of us in there, and so come and join us there as well. The Discord link is in the description below as well. CapMax Gaming, yep, all these videos are just enabling us. Yeah, I'm kind of, I'm I'm aware of that, and I feel like that as well. For me personally, like I just want to talk about it, and which is also why I don't buy all of these handhelds, right? I don't want to buy any, and I hope that is a good enough example that where we can talk about something, but we don't have to buy everything that we see. So, yeah, it is like it's a bit like that. Okay, so that's gonna be it for this one. Hope you guys have a good day or good night wherever you are, and we're going to I'm going to call it the end of the show now. So I'll see you guys in the next one. Okay, thanks for watching, everybody. See you guys.